Hello everyone, my name is Merlin Rothfeld and welcome to Monday Morning Must Knows. Now this week we have a lot of announcements and some of which may be very important to your specific trades regardless of which asset class that is. So let's dive right in and get to the week ahead. We'll start things off with your earnings calendar, your typical. There are 651 companies reporting this week, and a lot of them are small names except for the big one on Wednesday. Let's start things off with Tuesday, though. Nothing happening on Monday. Tuesday brings you Lowe's, Palo Alto Networks, AutoZone, Dick's Sporting Goods, Urban Outfitters, and Intuit. And one thing to pay attention to here is we have a lot of retail companies reporting earnings. That, of course, coming on the heels of the most recent retail sales announcement, which was pretty darn good. Wednesday brings you Nvidia, Abercrombie & Fitch, Kohl's, and American Eagle. Again, three more retailers there, but all eyes are really on Nvidia. The darling of the chip makers, Nvidia, has been doing amazing lately, having just a ballistic move, getting over that $300 mark, and just for the year of 2023 has had a monstrous gain. It's almost over doubled its value, and a lot of that is on the AI expectations. So keep your eye on Nvidia's earnings. That will be a very volatile announcement. Moving on to your Thursday calendar, we have Costco, Best Buy, Marvell Technologies, Ulta Beauty, and Workday. And on Friday, two lowly little ones. We've got Big Lots and The Buckle rounding out your retailers there. So that's your earnings calendar. Again, not the best assortment, but there are some pretty decent names, especially if you are someone who trades those retail stocks, which have been doing rather well lately. All right, now let's move on to something else. Services and manufacturing. A couple weeks ago, we've had the Empire State Manufacturing Index. Last week, we had the Richmond Manufacturing Index, and both those numbers didn't come out looking that great. Now we get a better reading, not only of the U.S. markets with regards to inflation, but global markets with services and manufacturing data. So we start things off on Tuesday. That's really all on Tuesday, the mother lobe. But we go across the pond. We start things off with France. France will be coming out at 3:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Right after that, you've got Germany at 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Right after that, the whole EU reporting at 4 a.m. 30 minutes later, you have England reporting theirs. And then rounding it all out, you have the United States at 9:45 Eastern Time. That will be 15 minutes into the trading day. So that will be an important one. And again, it's just to get a sense as to what the world is feeling with regards to services and manufacturing. How is it performing in these different geographical areas around the world? And of course, for us here in the United States, how is it looking in the United States? That could give us some ideas as to where to allocate capital if we're seeing strength in specific sectors or money pulling out of sectors. So it'll help us kind of guide the markets and get an idea of where we stand overall. Now we'll move on. We're going to keep on rocking here. We've got so much to talk about. I'm going to dive into the next topic, which is GDP, right? Growth, a really important one that Jerome Powell said this is very important to it. We want to have good growth. Of course, that's not their mandate, but they do want to have growth in the United States, of course. Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we will get a preliminary GDP announcement. As you can see, it's been fairly stable, taking those outliers from 2020 out of the picture. Not looking too bad. Currently sitting about 2.7%, and expectations are that the current reading of the GDP number will be 1.1, which extrapolating that data comes out to about 2.7%. So that's the expectation is we're going to come right in line at 2.7, so no real surprise there. And then that moves us on to the final piece of information, which is inflation. Of course, we know getting kind of old over here talking about inflation all the time, but we have to keep it on the table because it is so critical to where our markets are headed. On Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we do get the core PCE price index, which Jerome Powell said is the most important data point they're looking at for inflation. And right now, expectations are, drum roll please, that we're going to come in right in line with the same number at 0.3%, which is not bad. Now, if we were to stretch this chart out even further and go all the way back to, let's say, 2000, well, the average here is right around 0.2%. So we're kind of at the higher end here at 0.3, but it's not that extreme. Certainly nothing compared to what we saw back in 2021 and some of those spikes in 2022. But all in all, it feels like inflation has started to slow down a bit. Not that we're done. Not that we're out of the woods, not that this is the end-all be-all, but knowing that we're starting to see a slight drift down in inflation, even just staying steady is okay as long as we don't surge back up to those highs that we saw a couple years ago. Now, if it does start to surge, you could see a lot of volatility in our markets, so be very careful on Friday when this number comes out. Of course, it'd be 1 hour before the markets open, but a lot of times that will get priced in and you get big wild swings right on the open of that equity market, so be careful out there. It's all about risk management, planning out your trades, and using this data to help guide your trading decisions. That, my friends, is your Monday Morning Must Knows. We'll see you next week.